Greetings, my fellow seekers of knowledge. Welcome to MC Knowledge. Today we'll be discussing a subject many of you will have a connection to, whether it's through one of the old-style classic game consoles or the next-gen modern-day game consoles. Without further ado, let us discuss the history of video game consoles. The history of video games starts when Edward Condon designs for the Wessington House display at the World's Fair the Nimtron, a computer that plays the traditional game Nim, in which players attempt to avoid picking up the last matchstick. Tens and thousands of people play it, and the computer wins at least 90% of the games. Ralph Beer conceives the idea of playing video games on television, while waiting for a colleague at a New York City bus station. Then he writes down ideas that become the basis of his development of television video games. The Brown Box, the video game console prototype that allows its users to play tennis and other games, is developed by Ralph Beer. Ralph Beer gets his first interactive television game patented. Megavox releases Odyssey, the very first home video game system based on Ralph Beer's designs. In order to compete with Megavox's Odyssey, Atari released a home game console version of their popular arcade game Pong. Mattel's Electronics division starts the trend of handheld gaming devices with its release of the handheld game Audio Race, which launched the release of an entire series of handheld games. Between 1976 and 1978, Coleco releases a series of 40 different game consoles called Telstar, each one having a different game ranging from Pong variants to racing and light gun shooter games. The Atari 2600 video computer system featuring joysticks, interchangeable cartridges, games in color, and switches for selecting games and setting difficulty levels is bought by millions of Americans. Nintendo releases a series of consoles following the same concept as Telstar between 1977 and 1980. These systems also ran games from Pong to racing. The second generation of Megavox Odyssey, the Megavox Odyssey 2, also called Philips VideoPack G7000 or Philips Odyssey 2, is released, created by both Megavox and Philips, having acquired Megavox as a subsidiary. The Moulton Bradley Company creates Microvision as the first portable game console to have interchangeable cartridges for games. It had up to 12 games. Mattel Electronics releases a new console called the Intellivision as a supplement to its handheld electronic game. Nintendo develops and releases its Game & Watch series, handheld games that launched Nintendo to the mainstream, being Nintendo's first major success. It also later served as the inspiration for the Game Boy. Nintendo releases its Family Computer, or Famicom, in Japan. The Sega Master System is first released in Japan as Mark III. It was conceived as a competitor to Nintendo's Famicom, but due to Nintendo preventing third-party game developers from developing games for any other console but their own, it was a commercial failure. However, the console is the longest-lived console due to its still surviving popularity in Brazil. Throughout 1985 to 1987, Nintendo Famicom is released to the rest of the world as Nintendo Entertainment System, reviving the video game industry after its crash in North America in 1983. Sega releases its Sega Mega Drive, also known as Sega Genesis. It proved to be the most popular gaming system of its time. It was also the beginning of Sega's popular mascot, Sonic the Hedgehog. Atari releases its Lynx, featuring the first backlit display, switchable configuration of controls, along with network connectivity of up to 17 links. Nintendo produces and releases the Game Boy, the first portable console of the Game Boy series. It took features from the Game & Watch series. It was also the home of several blockbuster games. Nintendo releases its successor to the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, also called Super Famicom and Super Com Boy. It featured advanced graphics compared to other consoles at the time. Philips, Sony, and Megavox develop and release the Philips CD console that makes use of discs instead of cartridges, but it proves to be a commercial failure in part due to it featuring in famously bad editions of popular Nintendo titles such as Hotel Mario and free Legend of Zelda games known for their terrible cutscenes. Marketed as the first game console with the ability to support 64-bit games, however in reality the Atari juggernaut was only able to partially support 64-bit games. This, along with its very small library of games, significantly weakened the power of the brand. This led to the end of Atari's involvement in making home game consoles. After the failure of the collaboration between Nintendo and Sony to release the PlayStation as the Super Nintendo System CD, Sony made the decision to reproduce and market the PlayStation as their own game console. In Japan, May 11, 1995, Sega releases its Sega Saturn system. However, in spite of classic games like Nights into Dreams, it sells very poorly, beginning the downfall of Sega's production of home consoles. Created by Nintendo as the first portable visual reality gaming console, the Nintendo Virtual Boy included 3D graphics, monochromatic red and black. However, it proved to be a commercial failure. In spite of this, it serves as the source of inspiration for the concept of the 3DS later on. Being the competitor for both the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation, Nintendo 64 could not maintain the dominance that its predecessors possessed. While its criticisms were positive overall, it received negative criticism for its limited game library. Sega releases the Sega Dreamcast. While it's referred to as ahead of its time, it proves to be a commercial failure and sets the final nail in the coffin for Sega's home console business, leaving them to become a third-party developer. Sony's successor to the PlayStation 2, proves to be the best-selling video game console of all time, selling over 155 million units. While originally conceived as the competitor to Sega Dreamcast, its main rivals actually turned out to be the Xbox and GameCube, also featuring the motion capture EyeToy, expanding the gaming market to motion capture controlled games and systems. Created as the first Nintendo game console to use optical discs, however these discs were much smaller than CDs, which were used for other consoles. Its controller and good library of games available for it was praised by consumers and critics alike. Microsoft steps into the game console market through its creation of the Xbox. It is also the first game console created by an American company since the Atari Jaguar. It was the first console to feature a built-in hard disk and popularized an online gaming social network, with Xbox Live with games such as Halo 2 and other first-person shooters. Nintendo releases its Game Boy Advance, the first backlit handheld console by Nintendo. It dominated the handheld market with help from its highly popular Pokémon series. The handheld game console market is revolutionized by the Nintendo DS, with its many new features including its microphone, wireless connectivity, and its touchscreen as one of its two screens. Sony creates and releases its first portable console. The PlayStation Portable, also called PSP, was the most powerful portable console on the market, and was the main competitor of the Nintendo DS. The Xbox 360 is released as the successor to the popular Xbox. It benefited from the high demand of customers, becoming Microsoft's best-selling console. Its main selling features were greatly improved Xbox Live alongside exclusive games like the Halo series. It later introduced the Kinect motion capture camera, which became the fastest-selling consumer electric device in history. Nintendo Wii is released with the intention of getting gamers off the couch, with its inclusion of innovative, motion-sensitive controls. The goal being to make players more active. It held huge appeal for millions of people who never before liked video games. Sony releases the PlayStation 3, the first console by them that features an online social gaming network. It was the first console to make use of Blu-ray disc for its games. It used a motorized disc slot in place of a disc tray. Created to be the successor to both the Nintendo DS and the Virtual Boy, it featured the ability to play games in stereoscopic 3D, without the use of 3D glasses. A drawback to the 3D features is that if viewed at the wrong angle, it could cause headaches. Sony's PlayStation Vita, featuring two touchpads, one on the front and the other on the back, allowing its users to have a different experience as they made use of the touchpad on the back. The Wii U premieres as Nintendo's first console to make use of HD graphics, including a new tablet-like controller alongside improving upon the network multiplayer of the original Wii. Sony's PlayStation 4 premieres with better hardware and software, alongside a new controller that includes a touchpad and a button dedicated to the share function. Microsoft releases Xbox One, originally including the Kinect sensor as default. Xbox One improves upon all the entertainment features and user interactions from the Xbox 360. Alongside the growing popularity of smartphones and tablets as gaming platforms, the Nintendo Switch releases a hybrid of both mobile and console gaming. Google releases its Stadia cloud gaming streaming service, giving players a new form of gaming platform that can work across TVs, computers, Android devices, iPhone and iPad. Its cross-platform features and simulation of all the classical features of a game console without an actual game console taking its place points to this new type of gaming platform having the potential to one day completely replace the game console market. Sony's PlayStation 5, according to reviewers, is currently a leap forward with its features of 40K performance, stunningly fast load times, and its innovative DualSense controller. It, however, suffers from a limited memory capacity. The potential and continued success of Google Stadia has been thrown into question with Stadia Phil Harrison's announcement of the closing down of Stadia's games and entertainment division, alongside discontinuing the development of first-person games for Stadia. However, it will most likely continue to enjoy success from third-party games. Now, the thing I find most surprising from my research into this is how the game console market used to be so much bigger, with so many more manufacturers and providers, as opposed to the limited options we have now with only Sony, Nintendo and Microsoft. Although one could argue that Google has technically become a fourth provider with its release of the Stadia system, but whether or not Stadia's a game console that's digital on a computer, or a streaming service, or a hybrid of both, or an entirely new gaming platform altogether is a whole other discussion. Now, the reason I think it's become so small is because of the fact that these companies use a lot of anti-competitive tactics, such as the example I mentioned earlier in this video that was done by Nintendo. Now, the thing about this is that the more options there are, the more power we as consumers have over these products. Because if we don't like the quality or the price of one version of this product, we can just buy another one. And so I think we are in a very dangerous situation where the balance of power between the consumer and the provider/manufacturers is too far in the favor of the providers and manufacturers. That's all for now. Keep seeking knowledge, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.